Let's find out with Mary Kay Cabot. She joins us right now, the Cleveland on the fan hotline on the Cleveland from Cleveland.com, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Hello, Mary Kay.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We gonna find out about Quinshon Judkins today.
I don't know if it's today, tomorrow, next week, but I did sort of get the sense that there was some hope that there would be movement sometime this week with the season starting. I don't know what the holdup is. I think there are a lot of moving parts at play here when you talk about the team, the agent, the player, the league, the NFLPA. So there are a lot of things probably going on behind the scenes that we don't really know about, and sometimes these things take time.
Mary Kay, do you think it's just a matter of we're still talking guaranteed money, or do you think we're still trying to figure out from a legal perspective of what's happening, even though, charges were not ultimately filed, formal charges?
I don't think it's necessarily a legal perspective, but the NFL has still been investigating his case under their personnel conduct policy. So I think it's more so that than anything. If it has anything to do with the dropped domestic battery charge, it's just the league trying to determine if he should be disciplined or suspended or whatever the case may be. And the last I had heard, probably about a week ago, is that they were still reviewing the case. So I think it's kind of all tied in together.
Okay, well, that doesn't make me feel any better. But you're just doing your job here, Kay. I can't yell at you for not making me feel any better. So I guess should I consider it a wash, or what is this season going to be then?
Well, remember last year, Mike Hall Jr., even though he only pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct and not a domestic violence charge, the NFL still suspended him for 5 games. So I think you have to kind of look at it in that context. I don't know if they're going to suspend Quinshon. They're probably still conducting their investigation or wrapping it up. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they don't. I've heard it both ways. I don't know what the outcome of that is going to be, but I just have to believe that the holdup has something to do with how it all works together.
All right, Mary Kay, obviously going into the season, it's now time to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think there is some optimism, even though the show hasn't necessarily sounded like it for the season. There is some optimism about this game because of what Myles Garrett has been able to do to that offensive line of the Bengals. But everything we are hearing from Cincinnati is they're treating this like the Super Bowl. So given that, will that make things tougher for the Browns?
I think it's going to be a really, really good battle. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it's a game of matchups. So, of course, when you look at this football game, yes, you are looking at Myles Garrett against their offensive line and Myles Garrett and what he can do to Joe Burrow and what the game plan is for those guys. I think on both sides of the ball, there are some really, really intriguing matchups, and I think that the NFL world might just be a little bit surprised about what they see out of the Cleveland Browns. To turn on any site, you would think that the Cleveland Browns were the worst team in the history of football. I mean, 31st in almost every power ranking that I see. I asked Denzel about that yesterday. 31st for a football team that has arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, now the number 5 pick, who will be wreaking havoc inside there in Mason Graham. You've got a Pro Bowler at quarterback for right now. You've got Pro Bowlers at tight end, wide receiver, and Jerry Jeudy. Your guards, your tackle, Jack Conklin. So I think there is more talent on this football team than people remember that there is because of what happened last season at 3-14. Now, I think it all depends on the quarterback play. If they get good quarterback play, then I think that they can win some games this season. If they're throwing interceptions and fumbling the ball away, then they're not going to win games. It comes down, in my mind, to the quarterback.
I kind of, and this could be taken, two in the hand, whatever, half dozen the other. When it comes to Joe Flacco, like we've been asking about the leash on Joe Flacco. How many games does he get? How many games does he get? I think it's more on how soon you can get the pups ready to go. Like if Dylan Gabriel looks like he's ready to go by week 4, maybe they squeeze the trigger on Dylan Gabriel. I think it's more on the rookies than it would be on Joe.
I think it's a combination of those things because if Joe is going out there and he's hitting those explosive plays and he's not throwing interceptions and he's not getting sacked and he's not fumbling and he just so happens to win some football games, then I don't think that you can yank him out of there. I think you have to give this football team every possible chance to win. You can't sell losing to your fans. You can't sell it to your players. You have to be giving this football team every chance to win. And if he is demonstrating that he can do that, then you can't touch him. You've got to let him roll. But I do think that they love Dylan Gabriel, and I think they want to see him at some point this season. And it's really, I think, in my mind, up to Joe to keep him out of there and to say, no, this is mine. You go wait over there for a while.
One of the demoralizing things last year was the defensive performance. How do I know I can trust them again?
Well, there are a lot of unknowns. I think the defensive line looks good. I think Carson is bringing something really intriguing and interesting to the table at linebacker. And, of course, we know exactly what Denzel Ward is all about. After that, I think there are some unknowns. This is Greg Newsome's opportunity to step back up into the starting role and prove that he deserves to be an outside corner. He got that job taken away from him last year. Now he's back in that role, and he has a chance beginning this week to show that not only can he play well this season, but that he deserves an extension here. So we'll have to see how that goes. And, they're into their depth there in the secondary. So that's, I think, where they're going to have to really prove themselves. And what this defense needs to do this year, they need to make impact plays. Each one of those players needs to step up and elevate their game to the point where, once again, and Jim Schwartz has even said this, if you haven't made the Pro Bowl, make the Pro Bowl this year. And he set the bar very, very high for Miles. Okay, Miles, we've already seen you get NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Why not NFL MVP right now? So that's what these players are going to have to do. They're going to have to play above even their capabilities and show everyone what they've got.
So Denzel, we think we're going to see him matched up with Jamar Chase, but he'll always have somebody to very closely monitor. But with the loss of Emerson now, this is one of those teams where you could see that, oh boy, you need some other guys to step up in a big way. And some of those guys look like they struggled throughout camp and preseason. So what do you make of that situation going up against the Bengals this week?
Oh, my gosh. It's going to be really incredible this week to see what happens with those kind of matchups. And, I really think that the game, once again, is going to come down to how Myles Garrett can get to Joe Burrow. And I think the game is going to be won or lost there in the trenches, probably on both sides, because if you look to the other side of the ball, the Browns have got to protect Joe Flacco. Trey Hendrickson is also going to be playing with his hair on fire. And you've got DeJuan Jones over there at left tackle, and he has to be able to protect Joe Flacco in order for Joe to be able to run his game and hit those explosives downfield to Jerry Jeudy, now to Isaiah Bond, and some of those guys. So I think the pass rush is going to be a huge, huge element in this football game. And one of these guys is going to come out with, or maybe both of these guys are going to come out with multiple sacks, but I think that the game could turn there.
What's Tommy Rees' role now within the offense now that Kevin Stefanski has taken back over play calling? Has it gone back to like Alex Van Pelt?
Well, it's kind of like that unless Kevin decides to turn the play calling over to Tommy Rees. And we don't know for sure yet if he's decided to do that or not. I think he'll probably start out at least calling the plays himself because this is a brand new offense, and sometimes you want to see what it looks like out on the grass before you put it in the hands of someone else and put that responsibility on someone else. But Tommy, by all accounts, is a brilliant offensive mind, and if it makes sense for Kevin to turn it over to him, then I think he'll do that at some point.
Well, Kevin could actually turn over play calling.
Well, he turned it over to Ken last year, so I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. We haven't heard anything about that yet. But I do think that at some point, Tommy possesses the ability to do that very, very well. And Kevin, this is, again, not an ego thing for Kevin. If he thinks that's the right thing to do, then he'll go ahead and do it.
How close is Mike Hall to get him back?
I think a couple weeks. I don't know if he'll be ready for the Ravens game next week. I think he's ramping up. I would put it more at week 3, maybe week 4. I would be surprised if he plays next week, but I can't completely rule him out at this point. But I would say more like 3 or 4.
All right, Mary Kay, what did you think of seeing not only Jimmy Haslam, not only Andrew Berry, but also, furthermore, Kevin Stefanski at that Ohio State game over the weekend? Plus, you saw Jimmy take off the private jet and go to another high-profile college football game.
Well, that's what it's going to be like this whole entire college football season. And I was also out at the Colorado showcase when Shedeur and Travis were out there, and Jimmy was out there too. So he's going to be using that private jet and getting these guys all around to these football games. He will go to them. He will take an active role in helping to make sure that they are leaving no stone unturned in their quest to find the best quarterback for themselves next year. And I think that's a lot of what this season is about. It's a fact-finding mission. I don't think that they feel convinced that they have their guy on this roster. They're hopeful that maybe they do. But I think this season is going to be one foot in the NFL and another foot in college football, and you'll see those guys all over the place.
Do we know who specifically was running scout team this week? Was it Shedeur? Was it Zappy?
I'm sure that Shedeur ran some of it, but no, I don't know for sure. We're kicked out of there after individuals, so we don't get to see that much. But I will say this, in regular practice that we do get to see, those reps are very, very hard to come by for Shedeur and Bailey. So they have to find creative and alternative ways to get those reps. There will still be split-off situations where they're getting them. There will be after practice reps that happen. But when you're installing the game plan, it's really difficult for those young quarterbacks to get reps, and it's been that way in practice this week.
Well, I only ask because, Joe Burrow, who would more closely resemble Joe Burrow at all? I know it's tough because he's a top, 4 quarterback probably in the NFL, but stands to reason you'd probably have Zappy be the guy on scout team rather than Shedeur just to get your defense ready, right?
Well, I mean, it's a good point. I don't know if they're doing that or not, because I do remember when we talked to Shedeur about his situation, he was very, 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 very excited to go against the first team defense and looking forward to that. So I don't know. Maybe they're dividing it up. We'll find out more as the week goes along, and maybe they'll let us know. But it would make some sense to have Bailey doing some of that, but I'm sure Shedeur is doing some of it as well.
What has Joel Bitonio told you how he's feeling going into what we all assume is his last NFL season?
Well, Joel doesn't really like to talk too much in absolutes about that sort of thing. I think he still kind of tries to take it one season at a time and not look too far ahead, even though I think we all believe that this probably is his last season based on the fact that he really seriously pondered retiring before this season. But you never really know. It depends on what happens the season before. It depends on how your body is feeling. And so, you can never really rule it out. But I do think that, this is probably the swan song for Joel, and he won't want any fanfare about that. He's just going to want to do what he's always done, and that is to go out and do his job. And he's been a joy and a pleasure to cover, and you just cannot have enough guys on a football team like Joel Bitonio.
Mary Kay, thank you so much for the time, and of course, we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Sounds good. Take care.
Mary Kay Cabot on the fan hotline, joining us, getting you ready for the Browns and Bengals coming up on Sunday. Still don't know about Quinshon Judkins.